Family law is one of the most personal areas of legal system. When people are dealing with divorce, custody support, or domestic conflict, they are not just dealing with paperwork. They are dealing with their children, their home, their finances, and their future. The right attorney does more than explain the law. They help clients make clear decisions during one of the most emotional seasons of their lives. Today, we are going to talk about family law, divorce, custody, client advocacy, and how technology and AI may help law firms improve intake, communication, client education, and service without replacing the human judgment that legal work requires, right? So today, welcome to another edition of the Smart Office Podcast. I'm your host, Hippolyte Assa. I am an AI implementation engineer. I help small businesses use practical AI systems to improve operations, client experience, and growth. Today, I'm excited to welcome Amy Sklar of Cape Toller and Divine PC. Amy is an experienced attorney focused on divorce, matrimonial law, family law, child custody, child support, visitation, and related family matters. She has spent decades helping clients navigate highly personal legal situations with clarity, preparation, and advocacy. Amy, welcome to the Smart Office Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Amy, I've been looking to talk to you, looking forward to this conversation because family law is not just technical legal work, right? It's deeply human work. People come to you during moments where emotions are high and decisions are really matter, right? That makes the attorney-client relationship especially important in your field, right? So
Yeah.
How are you doing today before we start?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
I'm glad you are.
I'm excited to be part of this podcast and tell you my story.
Thank you very much. I think this conversation will be very valuable for families, professionals, and many more people who want to understand how to approach difficult family legal matters with more clarity. Right? So, Amy, before we get into family law and divorce, can you share your story? What led you into this area of law?
Sure. So when I graduated from college in 1977, it was really the height of the women's movement at that time. I was very much involved in the feminist and/or women's movement at the University of Vermont. I was the head of every consciousness-raising group, every outreach group. I had my own committee or organization or club, whatever you want to call it. And I did that for the 4 years that I was there. When I went to college, I started out as a sociology major and eventually designed my own major, which was not a real major at the time. It was called Women's Studies. It is now a real major, not only at the University of Vermont, but in just about every university and college.
Right.
So that was a big deal at that time. And then I was going off to law school after college. When I graduated from law school, which was in 1980, the divorce law in New York had just changed. The property settlement or property distribution law of the divorce law in New York had just changed. So it became equitable distribution, which means that they divide property based upon what is fair, as opposed to what we had before that, which we were a title state, that if the house was in the husband's name, the husband got the house. Now we changed it so that if the house was purchased during the marriage, no matter whose name it's in, it is marital property and gets divided. So we felt it was more of a fair way to divide property. And because I was just graduating from law school in 1980, it made sense for me to do this area of law because nobody knew more about the law than I did. I had just learned it in law school. All of the old timers didn't know
anything.
Exactly. In addition to that, again, it was a period of time where mostly men were in the legal profession. I did graduate from law school with 50% women, but there were no women in the profession. So when I became an attorney, I went to court. There was only one female judge sitting in the Supreme Court in Nassau County, and there were hardly any female attorneys sitting in the courtroom. So I felt that as a woman, I could give to the women and the men who were going through divorces, who needed a woman's touch, who needed a woman's perspective. And so that's what I did. And that's where I ended up And I worked for a man who was a matrimonial and family law attorney for many, many years. He ended up becoming a Supreme Court justice in Nassau County after I left him, actually. And then I was in practice for myself for many, many years. I've worked with some pretty top matrimonial attorneys, both as adversaries and alongside one another. And I love what I do. I love
That's
helping
important.
my clients through truly one of the worst moments of their life.
That's very
Sometimes
important.
those moments go for years, to tell you
Right.
the truth.
Right.
But it is a terrible time for them.
Wow. Family law can be it can be emotionally intense from what I hear from you. It can be traumatic, can be difficult. What has kept you committed to this work over the years? Does it have any emotional, how do you emotionally soak it in, absorb it over the years, over and over? You take people's pain and challenges. Sometimes they lose, sometimes they win, and sometimes it's a win-win for everybody. How do you do that?
So I tend to, my first consultation with a new client, for example, can last anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. Very long consultation. It's free. I do these very long consultations because I believe, as a matrimonial attorney, that I should be telling people who are thinking of getting divorced what they can expect, what the law is.
Right.
That in and of itself, because I give them somewhat of an education in the law during that consultation, that in and of itself calms people down. Most of the time at the end of that consultation, a client will say to me, "Oh, you gave me so much information. Thank you so much. I feel so much better. I feel so much calmer." And it always ends with a hug. I have to be honest with you.
Right.
Most of these clients say, "Can I please hug you?" And that's usually what happens at my consultation. I have plenty of colleagues who don't believe in giving consultations like that, and
Yeah.
plenty of colleagues who believe in just saying, "Oh, you want a divorce? Okay, a $10,000 retainer, and I'll continue talking to you." I don't do
Yeah.
that. I don't do that at all.
That's what I'm surprised, because that's so much you're coming across like giving that touch in the legal profession, where a lot of people see it as probably just a money machine for the people consult, and as long as consult put down the retainer, they don't really care about the results. But you sound like, so when you with this 2 hours consultation, how do you feel at the end of the day when your goal is to make that person a customer, but now that person suddenly realize, well, it's not worth it investing in this process?
So some of them don't come back. Some of them don't retain me while they're sitting here. Some of them do. Most of them come back eventually. Most of them do. They remember. I had a woman come back to me 3 years after she had a consultation. And the first thing she said to me when she came back was, "You were the only attorney who I consulted with who said to me, 'You're really not ready to get divorced yet. You need to figure out what you want. You need to figure out
Right.
what your goals in life are, and then come back to me.'" She was astonished
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't push her harder. So
Right.
yes, it is not easy because sometimes people leave here and they don't come back. I don't think it's that they don't come back because they find somebody else.
Right.
It's usually they don't come back because they haven't decided whether they're really going through with the process.
Right.
But most of them do, or they retain me right on the spot. Are there times that I, quote unquote, waste 2 hours of my time? Because it's true. But you know what? Those prospective clients who came to me, who decided they don't want to get divorced, they want to remain with their spouse, want to remain in an intact family, they send clients to me.
Yeah.
Because they like the way I handled them from the very beginning. And so, yes, at the end of the consultation, do I use those buzzwords to try to close the deal?
Yeah.
Without a doubt I do. So does everybody who's in business.
Right.
But I don't do it to the point where they feel so pressured that they want to run out the door. I
Wow.
don't do
So when someone hears about I don't know, is it
Capitola and Divins.
Capitola and Devins? What do you want them to understand about your approach to clients?
So our approach to clients is we really do care. We care about the emotional part of the case. We certainly care about the fact that sometimes there are children involved. Custody is a very difficult
All right.
issue to resolve when people are fighting over it. I tell clients all the time, I can resolve just about any issue in less than 10 minutes in a divorce. If this pen is an asset of the marriage, I could cut it in half and give each one of you half. I can't do that with children.
Children.
Children are a whole different issue.
Yeah.
And it's, a very high contested matter when there is custody. That is the most expensive
Right.
divorce and takes the longest amount of time. The courts will appoint an attorney for the children to determine what the children want or what's in their best interest. And so now we've got 3 attorneys,
Wow. Okay. To
and
do
it's
it.
not easy. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it. I'm practicing law 46 years. So I've done it many, many times, and I've had custody trials. I have 2 cases right now where I'm representing men who I'm probably going to get them custody of their kids.
Wow.
One of whom is a transgender person
Okay.
who's becoming a woman, transitioning to a woman, and the other one never wanted to have sole custody, but the mother of the
Oh,
child is so beyond out of control that we kind of have no choice at this point. He has to take it. And so it does happen that I get men custody of their children. I would never I do have a colleague who will say to every man, I promise you, I will get you custody of your children. I don't say
right.
that. I never say that. There
Yeah.
aren't no promises.
No promises.
Right.
So is it more about helping clients make informed decisions or?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. That, and also there's a strategy behind all of these cases. Each case has a different strategy, obviously, but there's a strategy behind them. There's a way to negotiate a settlement. After all of these years of doing it, I know that my ability is very different now than it
Yeah.
was when I first started practicing law. And I watch my associates who I am teaching and they don't have those years of experience yet
Right.
to know what I know in terms of moving the case forward. So I help them. We usually, for every associate here in this firm, a partner is partnered up with that associate, so to speak, so that the associate is learning, and also they're very capable of doing work in the case, no doubt about it, but it's always overseen by a partner. So, for example, I mean, I have papers right here that an associate just put on my desk this morning. They have to be uploaded to the search engine, the New York State search engine for the court system. I read that before she uploads it. I read it, I make my corrections, my changes, if any, and then it gets uploaded. So we always have an expert, someone with many years of experience, going over every step
Everything.
of every case.
Wow, that sounds wow. So in this situation of probably the story just shared about transgender or men, what made that situation difficult? Like, what was the challenge in it, and
Well,
what was at stake for the client?
Right. So the first challenge in that particular case is that, our world is not, our country, our society is
Right.
not necessarily ready to accept people who are transgender. I mean, it just is what it is. I kind of think it's crazy for a moment to divert. I kind of think it's crazy because there are very few people who are transgender. So I don't know
Right.
why we go so crazy over this and spend so much time
Right.
talking about it. But the fact of the matter is we now have to go in front of a judge, and judges are just people.
Right.
They're
They're
just
just
like
people.
you and I. They
Yeah.
get up in the morning, they brush their teeth, they get dressed, and they go to work, just like we do.
Right.
I don't always know what a judge's opinion is of somebody for that's transgender. And so I have to feel out the part. I have to feel out the judge. I have to make my client seem like the better parent to the judge so that the judge will want my client, whether he or she is transgender or
Or
not,
not? Right.
to take care of these children. I have to take away that view of the court that all they see is a man who's wearing a dress and wants to be a woman. I have
Right.
to take that out of their mind. I have to be able to make them think that it doesn't matter what this person looks
Person
like
looks
or
like,
what their
yeah.
preference is. It has to do with what's better for the children. So that's kind of the strategy that we use in the trial, and it has been working, I have to say.
Well, that's good to know. After many decades in divorce and family law, what do you wish more people understood before they begin the legal process?
There are things that people fight for that cost them many thousands of dollars to fight
Right.
when the end result is going to be the same
The same.
result.
Right.
So it doesn't make. I had a man yesterday, one of my clients came to me. His wife is holding both passports for the children. That was not the deal. That was not the settlement. The settlement was she holds one and he holds one. She came back from an out of country trip and refuses to return the passport to him. Why? She's refusing to return the passport to him because the passports were expired. She had to hire an expediter. It cost her money, and his share of the fee was $500, and he refuses to pay for it. So he says to me, so what should I do? How do I get the passport back? I said, well, we can go back to court. We can have her held in contempt. We can compel her to give you the passport. That's probably going to cost you somewhere between $3,500 and $6,000 to do that.
Right.
Give her the $500, for God's sakes.
Right.
If you give her the $500, she's going to hand you the passport. Doesn't, from a financial standpoint, doesn't it make sense to do that?
Yeah.
So these are the things that people get so caught up in the fight. They just want to fight.
Probably they just want to win.
Right. Right. And they don't realize that the practical side of this is going to be worse at the end. If you listen to me, I had a woman whose ex-husband wanted more time with their child. This was a man who wanted nothing to do with this child. In fact, when she got pregnant, he wanted her to have an abortion. He didn't want to be a father. He paid no attention to this child. He was just fighting her just for the fight. And I said to her, give in. He wants every other weekend. Give him every other weekend. He's never going to take it. He's never going to want to be with your daughter because he was a player. All he wanted to do was find women and get money from women. That's really what he wanted. He was a tennis pro. He was an awful character. I begged her, just give in because he's never going to do any of this stuff. And she didn't listen to me. So we fought bitterly for 2 years, cost her many thousands of dollars. And the day after we signed the agreement, he called her up and said, I'm never going to come and see this child. I don't want to pay any child support. You're never going to find me. Goodbye and good luck. And he disappeared and nobody knows where he is. I knew that was going to happen. Had she listened to me at the very beginning, it wouldn't have cost her thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know?
So what should someone do early before emotions or conflicts make the process harder? Like, what do they need to do to just avoid such pitfalls?
Well, I think people need to be clear as to what their end goal is. One of the end goals, obviously, is to be divorced, no longer be married to this person. That's the easiest part of the case.
Right.
The problem is I can't get you divorced until I resolve all the financial part of the case.
I see.
Because the judge will not sign off on it if the rest of the case is not resolved or tried. They also need to be clear as to what they need to give their attorney
Right.
to fight for them. So if you say that you bought a house during the marriage and the house costs or is valued at $1 million and we're going to sell the house. If you put money down on that house from separate property, from money that you had prior to the marriage or from an asset prior to the marriage, you get credit for that.
Right.
You need to know to pull together the proof that your attorney needs in order to fight for you for those things. Of course, most people don't know that because they don't know the law. We know.
Right.
They do have to find somebody who will give them a consultation and tell them all of this so that they have a better expectation of what to do. Or, of course, I mean, we live in the day of Google. Anybody can research anything.
Right.
I don't really like when people do that because obviously Google did not graduate law school and did not practice for 46 years. So it's very hard when a client comes to me and says, but my friend told me or Google told me. And I say, well, okay, that's not the law or that's not the way it goes.
Wow.
I think should be a balance between doing your own research and finding out from an expert. Yeah.
What advice would you give someone choosing an attorney for a divorce, custody, or family law matter? Like, what would you, if somebody's looking for choosing that attorney? I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but can you probably give more, tell us a little bit more about choosing an attorney?
Sure. So most divorces are not over within a week. It just doesn't happen. People will ask me very often, how long is this going to take? At the consultation, they ask me that question. How long is it going to take and how much is it going to cost? What's the end cost? I can't answer either of those two questions. I can't answer them because I don't know what the other side is going to do. I only know what I am capable of doing. So I don't know how they're going to drag it out or delay it Or maybe we have somebody who's incompetent on the other side.
Yeah.
And then I got to fight for every single thing that we're entitled to through the
Right.
court system. When someone is looking for a matrimonial lawyer, first thing they want to know is, are they competent? Do they know the law?
Right.
Most of us do, especially if we have a number of years of experience. Okay. You then need to make sure that this person who you hire is someone who you have a rapport with, who you can speak to openly, who
Right.
you can tell your innermost thoughts and fears to, because I need all of that information in order to represent you properly. So it needs to be somebody who you think you can possibly spend years in an attorney-client relationship with.
Right.
Somebody who you care about. Somebody who you trust is going to call you back. Somebody who you trust is going to answer your emails. Somebody who is not going to delay, but push forward to get done what has to be done at every step of the way in your divorce case. You need to ask as many questions at the consultation
As
as the
possible.
attorney is giving you information and asking you
Right.
questions. This is somebody who you're going to be with, most likely, for the very least amount of time, a year.
Yeah.
And I have divorces that go on 5 years
Wow.
or more, because people, especially custody matters, because people are fighting over things, again, that I can't just take a knife and divide in half, or a scissor and cut in half, So that, and also, of course, we have complicated cases that, for example, there are businesses that have to be valued and those kinds of things. But you need to make sure that you can relate to this attorney and that you can speak to the attorney freely.
This episode of the Smart Office podcast is sponsored by EveryBrain AI. Most businesses are not losing money because they lack good people. They are losing money because too many things still depend on manual follow-up, missed calls, slow response times, and repetitive admin work. That is where EveryBrain AI comes in. We build AI implementation and automation systems that help your business run smarter. From AI receptionists and smart scheduling to lead qualification, workflow automation, client follow-up, and multi-channel lead generation. Imagine having a system that answers inquiries, qualifies prospects, books appointments, follows up automatically, and helps your team focus on the work that actually grows revenue. And the best part, it's done for you. No long-term contracts, no complicated tech headaches. Most systems can be up and running in 5 to 10 days. So whether you want to save time, cut overhead, or generate more qualified leads, EveryBrain AI can help you build the automation layer your business needs. Visit everybrainai.com and book your free strategy call today. EveryBrain AI, we build AI that runs your business.